get this subject into your minds today, because we're going to talk about discipline. Turn to your neighbor to your right and just tell them, develop your discipline in 2012. Turn to the person on the other side and tell them, develop your discipline. Say it with an attitude, because they need some discipline. Tell them to develop your discipline in 2012. Put your hands together and give God some praise. Those who run go into strict training. Those who run are temperate in all things. All of us know Jennifer Hudson. She is one of the preeminent and most prominent singers of our time. But she has gained new notoriety as a spokesperson for the Weight Watchers program because of the great amount of weight that she has lost in the past year. And in her latest commercial for Weight Watchers, she is shown juxtaposed. Some of you have seen that commercial, juxtaposed side by side in a split screen, where she sings on one side with the old former heavyweight, and then she's singing on the other side with her new slimmed down figure. And of course, Weight Watchers takes all the credit for the great amount of weights that she has lost. But the truth is that it is not so much the Weight Watchers program that allowed her to lose all this weight, but Jennifer Hudson developed discipline in her life. Though she was guided by the Weight Watchers program, and sometimes we need guidance, we need some encouragement, we need someone to prod us, we need someone to encourage us. No matter that she was guided by Weight Watchers, but she developed discipline to eat healthy, to exercise, and to make some positive lifestyle changes. Can I get you to encourage somebody? Just nudge them. Don't push them too hard. They might start fighting in here. But tell them you need to make some lifestyle changes. Yes you do. You need to eat more healthy. You need to exercise. You need to develop discipline. Americans spend $100 million a year on obesity-related programs, and then they spend another $100 billion on diets. $200 billion. When all they really need is to develop some discipline. I had a trainer that came to my house 3 days a week, and I was doing real good. And then I decided I don't need to pay him. I can do this myself. I can save that money. I can save. And you know, when you don't have discipline, there are all kind of excuses that come to your mind when you wake up in the morning and you say, yeah, I got a busy schedule today, and there are people who are waiting on me, and I've got things to do. And before you know it, that 6:30 time that you had been getting up to do your exercise and do your 3 miles has passed, and you find out that you needed somebody to just goad you and encourage you and inspire you and say to you, even when you don't feel like getting up, you hear that rap at the door. It's 6:30. We need to develop discipline. Get it in your mind. Get it in your spirit. We need to develop discipline. And in this text, Paul talks about life as a race. And he says that in one version, in a race, all run, Did you start out running last year? Did you start out, I'm just talking about not in the literal sense, but in terms of some things that you wanted to achieve. Did you start out running and you didn't end up getting the prize? He says, all in the race. He's talking about the race of life, the race of believers. He said, all of us in the race run, but we don't end up getting the prize. Then in verse 25, he says, everyone who competes in a game of life goes into strict training to effect some discipline in their lives, and they are temperate in all things. They govern what they do. They develop some discipline in their lives. Paul himself knew what it was to be undisciplined. Paul struggled with discipline in his own life. In Romans, the 7th chapter and the 15th verse, you recall, Paul says, when I would do good. There's always that over against us. There are always some cantankerous forces that are operating against me, that when I find myself doing all the things that I promised I wasn't going to do in 2011. Can I Wilsonize this for you today? He said, I found myself, Paul said, it ain't just Paul, it's us. Isn't that familiar to you? All of us want to have some discipline. And in 2011, the first day of January 2011, you came up with all kind of resolutions about what you were going to do in 2011. And here it is, January 2nd, 2012, and you are in the same position. You didn't develop discipline. You had no discipline. You wanted to do it. Paul said, I find myself, all the things that I promised I wasn't going to do anymore, I find myself doing those things. All of us want discipline. But can I get some witnesses in here? Discipline is not easy. Touch somebody and tell them, I'm a witness that discipline is not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy, and neither is it a popular subject today, which even makes it more difficult to have discipline, because there are so many things that mitigate against us having discipline. And so today, in our public and in our personal lives, we are plagued by the pursuit of pleasure. The prevailing ideology is, don't think about it. Don't contemplate the consequences of it. Don't focus on the outcome, but if it feels good, do it. We don't like good old-fashioned discipline. We want anything but discipline. We want any medication except a strong dose of discipline. We want wealth without work. We want success without sacrifice. We want spirituality without a struggle. We want roses without rain. We want blessings without burdens. We want a crown without a cross. And we need to develop some discipline in our lives.